There were 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks of the 2024 NFL Draft. Those quarterbacks being Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, and Bo Nix. That is the most quarterbacks taken that high in NFL history. And today we are going to be following those 6 guys' careers in Madden 25 to answer some huge questions about their careers. Which one will have the best career? Could this quarterback class be the greatest of all time? Which one of them will win the most Super Bowls? And could one of these guys become the GOAT? So here we are on Madden, where I've chose the Washington Commanders to be the team that I follow right away. They have Jaden Daniels, obviously, but I am not actually like their coach. Everything is on auto, so they will be making their own trades, drafting their own players, all of those things. All that I'm here to do is just follow the career of all of these rookie quarterbacks. So taking a look at where all of these guys start out at, Jaden Daniels is a 74 overall. He is the starter here in Washington, which is good. Looks like he has 90 throw power, 90 speed. He looks like he's going to be very good. Caleb Williams starts as a 76 overall, and he will also be starting for the Bears. Bo Nix starts at a 72, and he is also the Broncos starter. Michael Penix starts at a 71 overall, and he will be Kirk Cousins' backup at least to start his career. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, like how soon they start Michael Penix. I am not going to go through and mess with any of this stuff. Their careers are going to play out the way that they're supposed to play out. I'm not going to go force them to start Michael Penix or anything like that. So right now he is the backup to Kirk Cousins here in Atlanta. Drake May starts at a 76 overall, and he is also listed as the Patriots starter here in this game, which I think he is going to win in real life too, if I had to guess. And JJ McCarthy starts out as a 71 overall here for the Vikings, but he is out for the remainder of his rookie season, just like he is in real life. Here in Madden, they have him listed as a fractured kneecap. I don't think that's what it is in real life. I think it was actually an MCL, but he will be missing his entire rookie season, which does suck for him and sucks for the Vikings, but I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back and end up turning his career into a really good career as well. But I am excited to see what happens. I'm going to get to simulating. We're going to get through these guys' rookie seasons and just see how all of them start out their careers. So here we are at the midseason mark. I did want to stop here just so I can see like the rookie of the year race and how good these guys are playing through their first few games of their careers. It does look like Washington and Chicago are struggling heavily as teams. They actually play each other this week. The Bears are 1-5 right now, and the Commanders are 2-5. So team-wise, both of these top 2 picks are struggling, but let's go in and look at the rookie stats and see how everybody else is doing as well. So through the first half of his rookie season, Caleb Williams has 970 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. It's definitely not great. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but he is struggling a little bit. Bo Nix, though, is at 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. That is a very good stat line halfway through his rookie year. Jaden Daniels also at 1,300 yards, only 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So not being as careful with the ball as Bo Nix, is slinging the thing a little bit, though, with 1,300 yards apiece. But so far, it does look like Bo Nix is having the best rookie year. Michael Penix, I'm going to assume, has not played yet. He has not. Kirk Cousins is at 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns, so it might be a little bit until we see Michael Penix out on the field. Drake May has 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, so he's really struggling to take care of the football. Only a 68 passer rating as well, so Drake May's not having a great start to his career here. But in his defense, the team around him is absolutely horrible, and then obviously JJ McCarthy has not played yet, so that's unfortunate, but that is all of our guys. I will say I think Bo Nix is having the best rookie season pretty easily, I would say. 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns to only 2 picks with 103 quarterback rating. Pretty hard to beat that as a rookie, honestly. Maybe one of the better rookie seasons I've ever seen. And then after him, it kind of seems like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May are all having pretty similar rookie years. So we will keep an eye on everybody. I will let you guys know at the end of the year who's winning all of the awards and everything. I wonder if there's a rookie of the year race. Is that possible to look at? It doesn't really seem like there is, but I do want to take a look at all these teams' records. So as we saw, Washington is 2-5, Chicago's 1-5. Looks like Denver is 4-3 with Bo Nix, so he's leading them to a winning season. The Patriots as well are only 1-6, so 1-5 Chicago, 1-6 Patriots, 2-5 Washington, and 4-3 Denver is where the 4 rookies who are actually playing are sitting at. And then Minnesota without JJ McCarthy is 1-5. And Atlanta with Michael Penix on the bench is looking at 4-3 right now. So here we are in the playoffs of that very first season. Let's see if any of our rookie quarterbacks made the playoffs. The Falcons do make it, but obviously Penix is the backup. And he is the only one. So Michael Penix is the only guy that's in the playoffs here in year 1, and he didn't even play. So as I said, the Falcons were 11-6. Looks like the Commanders are the next team on the list here, finishing at 8-9, which means Jaden Daniels went from 2-5 start in his career to almost a winning season, which is very good for him. The Vikings are also right below him at 8-9, but obviously JJ McCarthy didn't play either. Looks like the Bears ended up 6-11, so a little bit better than what they were doing at the beginning of the year, but the Broncos only ended 5-12 after a 4-3 start to Bo Nix's career. Looks like they really fell off. Okay, so Caleb Williams finished his rookie season with 2,515 passing yards and 15 touchdowns. Did have 11 interceptions, had a passer rating of 83. It's not amazing, but it is okay. He was even in touchdowns and interceptions in that first half of the season, so it looks like he did play better in the second half of his rookie year. Bo Nix, on the other hand, though, only finished with 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. So it looks like he got really sloppy there in the second half of the season. He was at 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions when we looked earlier, and finished with 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Jaden Daniels finished with 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. I guess I should probably be looking at rushing stats as well. Jaden Daniels had 90 rushes for 343 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he ended up having a really good rookie season, honestly. Going back to Caleb Williams, it does look like Caleb Williams ran for 569 yards and 6 touchdowns here in his rookie year, which is kind of insane that he ran for almost 600 rushing yards, Caleb Williams, and 163 attempts. I don't know why he's running so often. Maybe it's just the Bears playbook. And then Bo Nix had 71 attempts for 253. I'm wondering if Caleb had so many rushing yards because the Bears playbook still thinks that they have Justin Fields. Nothing that I can do about it. Michael Penix ended up not seeing any time his rookie season. Kirk Cousins had an amazing year, by the way. 3,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I mean, that is just a sick season for him. Drake May ended with 3,100 yards, 21 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. So he did still throw a lot of interceptions, but he was throwing for a lot of touchdowns as well. 73 quarterback rating. It's not amazing, but it's okay. You just got to clean up those turnovers. And lastly, obviously, JJ McCarthy did not see the field. So if we do go ahead and rank all these quarterbacks' rookie seasons, I think we got to put Jaden Daniels with the best rookie year. I would say that he was just the biggest playmaker, the most dynamic player. I think Bo Nix probably number 2, and then Caleb Williams, and then I would go Drake May. I think Drake May probably had the worst rookie season of any of these guys. Did have 19 interceptions, only a 79 quarterback rating. I think it is close with him and Caleb Williams, but Caleb Williams having almost 600 rushing yards really puts him over the top. I guess I didn't even look at Drake May's rushing yards, so let's take a look at what he had rushing wise. He did have 312, so I mean, all of these rookie quarterbacks had pretty decent rushing seasons as well, but I would say that after year 1, I would go Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Drake May. Those other 2 are just like to be determined, obviously, because they haven't played yet. But none of them are in the playoffs, so we are just going to go ahead and sim to the Super Bowl, and we're going to see who won Rookie of the Year here in year 1. So here we are at the Super Bowl, where the Falcons actually ended up making it to the Super Bowl, so it's possible that Michael Penix technically gets a Super Bowl here in his career. But obviously, we're not going to add that to his actual resume. We're going to go ahead and only call Super Bowls that they actually win themselves. Let's click into View Yearly Awards, and let's see who won Rookie of the Year. So the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year was Keon Coleman, followed by Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers, and Bo Nix was in at number 4, with Drake May in at number 5 there. So neither of them won Rookie of the Year. And in the NFC, it looks like the Offensive Rookie of the Year is Jonathan Brooks, with Caleb Williams in at number 2 and Jaden Daniels in at number 4. So none of them get Rookie of the Year. Pretty crazy to think about that no quarterback wins Rookie of the Year here, but that is how it goes. So nobody gets anything added to their resume after year 1. We're going to get ready for year 2, and we're going to see how these quarterbacks improve going into their second season in the NFL. So I just went over all of these guys' stats after their second season, and I just realized that I accidentally had my mic muted. So now that my mic is unmuted, we're going to go back and re-look at their season 2 stats. Caleb Williams is up to an 88 overall here at the start of year 3, though. This is the start of year 3, but let's go look at these guys' stats last year. Caleb Williams also, I just saw, is up to Superstar X Factor. But Caleb Williams last year had 4,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. They didn't make the playoffs yet again, but he did have a pretty decent second year. Bo Nix looks like he's up to a 77 overall here in year 3. And last year, he had a pretty decent year himself. He had 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Pretty good year for him, but the Broncos did go 2-15. They were the worst team in the entire NFL. So I don't know, give or take on how you think that season is for Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels last year had a very, very good season. Probably the best season of any of these guys. He's up to an 85 overall here in this. Let's take a look at his stats. He put up 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions, 368 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, and he led the Commanders to an 11-6 record and into the playoffs, where they did lose in the first round, unfortunately. Next guy up, Michael Penix, did have a pretty decent first year of his career. He's up to a 76 overall here in year 3 technically, but kind of year 2 for him since he couldn't play his first season. He put up 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Pretty decent season for him. I think they went 8-9 and they were just outside of the playoffs. Drake May also is up to an 80 overall here in year 3. And last season, he put up 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So he is getting better. It seems like all of these guys are getting better as their years go on. I think they were 8-9 as well and just missed out on the playoffs. So a good upgrade for him and for the Patriots. And then lastly, JJ McCarthy in what was his very first year of his NFL career. He's up to a 77 overall now, but he went for 4,100 yards, 22 touchdowns to 18 interceptions. So not a great touchdown to interception ratio, but a pretty decent rookie year for him, at least as far as the stats go. They did go 4-12 or 4-13 or whatever, and were the second worst team in the entire NFL other than the Broncos. So again, give or take how you think those seasons are for them. We are taking control of the Bears here in year 3, and we're going to follow a little bit closely for Caleb Williams. I am not going to stop at the midseason mark anymore, though. We're going to try to start getting through these seasons a little bit quicker. So we're going to go ahead and sim to the end of season 3, and we're going to see how these guys' third years of their careers go. All right, we're here at the end of year 3. Let's see if any of these guys made the playoffs here. Nobody in the AFC still has made the playoffs. In the NFC, though, it looks like the Vikings are the 2 seed with JJ McCarthy, and the Commanders are back into the playoffs again here for the second year in a row. Let's sim the first round of the playoffs. Let's see how these 2 rookie quarterbacks that made the playoffs do. Looks like the Commanders lose to the Cowboys and the Vikings lose to the Buccaneers. So unfortunate losses for both of those guys, but it is cool that they've led their teams to the playoffs. And let's jump over and look at all these guys' stats yet again. So Caleb Williams had 3,600 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not an amazing year 3 for him. He did put up 300 yards on the ground, 400 actually. So it's okay, but not amazing. Looks like Bo Nix put up 4,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Also not an amazing season from Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels had 3,700 yards for 36 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Jaden Daniels really is starting to run away with it, with just being the best player so far, at least early on in all of these guys' careers. Let's see how Michael Penix did. 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. A pretty good year here for Michael Penix in year 3, but year 2 for him as a starter at least. Drake May, 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's not super amazing. Probably the worst year so far of any of these guys out of Drake May. Then lastly, let's look at JJ McCarthy, who goes for 4,600 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Very, very good season from him. He also did lead them to the playoffs. He had 200 yards on the ground. So I think after year 3, we have to say that Jaden Daniels is probably at the top of this list. And then JJ McCarthy might be number 2. I think it's probably close between him and Caleb Williams at number 2. But JJ McCarthy's having a very good start to his NFL career. They are all out of the playoffs though, so we're going to simulate to the Super Bowl and we're going to see if any of these guys are in yearly awards. And okay, so Jaden Daniels is 5th on the MVP list. Very good year for him. JJ McCarthy is 7th. So both of them are the first guys to pop up on the MVP watch list. And on NFC Offensive Player of the Year, Jaden Daniels is also on that list at number 6, and JJ McCarthy sneaks on at number 10. And then as far as best quarterback goes, none of the AFC quarterbacks sneak onto the best quarterback list. Oops, let's see if any of the NFC guys do. So Jaden Daniels is number 2, JJ McCarthy is number 4, Michael Penix is number 8. So 3 guys on the NFC best quarterback list. But that is yet another successful season out of all of these guys, I would say. Nobody is like really standing out as being like super amazing. Maybe you say Jaden Daniels, but I would love to see like Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and some of those other guys that haven't really like shown anything super incredible yet to really have a breakout season next year. All right, here we are going into season 4. I'm going to be controlling the Vikings this year. What I do want to do is kind of go through and see how some of these rosters have changed up around these quarterbacks. I kind of just want to go see like what weapons all of these guys have around them. So it looks like the Vikings running back is a drafted rookie, Jerome Jones, who's a 78 overall. Wide receiver wise, looks like they do have Justin Jefferson still, as well as Jordan Addison. And then it looks like a rookie, Khalil Ballard, is their wide receiver 3. Drake May, it looks like the Patriots have gotten Devontae Adams. He is all the way down to an 84 overall at this point in his career, though, but I'm sure he's still a pretty good player, as well as Jerome Cone and Demario Douglas. So Demario Douglas is still there. It looks like Jerome Cone is one of these draft picks that they've taken. Also, I should point out, JJ McCarthy is up to an 83 overall here in year 4, as well as getting superstar development. So that's very good for him. And then Drake May is up to a 79 overall here in year 4. For the Falcons, Michael Penix is up to a 78 overall. Let's take a look at his weapons. They do still have Drake May up to an 88 overall. Wan'Dale Robinson is also on this team. And then also a rookie named Darren Armstead. So a pretty decent receiver room for Michael Penix to work with. Jaden Daniels is up to an 87 overall here in year 4. He does have superstar development finally. I don't know how he didn't before, honestly, but his receiver room is looking like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Elijah Moore. So very similar to what they have in real life. I don't think Elijah Moore is on that team, but Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson are still there for him. Bo Nix is up to an 80 overall here in year 4 of his NFL career, and it looks like he's surrounded by Rashee Rice. Okay, so they got him from the Chiefs. They also still have Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin here. Cortland Sutton is also still here, but he's down to a 77 overall. So looks like Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims, and Troy Franklin are the weapons for Bo Nix. And then lastly, Caleb Williams is working with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze still, but they do have Mike Evans, who's all the way down to a 78 overall now, but I'm sure he's still a good player. What overall is Caleb Williams up to now, though? Caleb Williams is a 90 overall. He has Superstar again. I think he had Superstar X Factor last year, so I think he might have lost that, which is pretty crazy, but it looks like all of these guys are going into year 4 with a pretty good foundation at least. Let's go ahead and sim this season and let's see who has the best year 4. All right, end of year 4. Let's see who made the playoffs. I did see that the Vikings made the playoffs yet again. Does any of the AFC teams sneak in? They do not. The AFC quarterbacks are really struggling over there. But in the NFC, it looks like the Vikings do make it. And I think that they are the only team in the NFC as well. So JJ McCarthy continues to have success while all of these other rookie quarterbacks kind of struggle. I'm surprised to not see the Commanders in here. The Commanders and Jaden Daniels have been pretty much a mainstay in the playoffs the last few years. But looks like JJ McCarthy is the only one of these guys that made the playoffs here in 2027. Okay, it looks like they did win last week. Let's go ahead and simulate again and see if they can beat the Packers here in the divisional. And they do. And now they have the Dallas Cowboys here in the NFC Championship, where I do think that I'm going to jump in here and at least take a look at JJ McCarthy out on the field. This will be the first time that we see any of these guys out on the field. It's JJ McCarthy and the Vikings in the NFC Championship versus the Cowboys. There is JJ McCarthy. Let's see if he can lead this team to the Super Bowl and be the first out of this 2024 quarterback rookie class to win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to come out here and play this whole drive or anything, but I do kind of just want to see how JJ McCarthy feels in game. I've never really played with him in the game, so I want to see how he feels. And I throw a pick. Okay, JJ McCarthy's not going to win a Super Bowl, and it's all because of me. I'm going to get into Super Sim, which is what I was meant to do here. For some reason, I thought that maybe I just wouldn't suck at the game, but turns out that I really suck at the game, so I don't know why the fuck I did that. Sorry to all the JJ McCarthy fans out there. Let's just go ahead and simulate, because that's the best thing to do here. Dallas goes up 10-0 because of my interception, but Minnesota does answer back. Dallas answers right back again. Minnesota's answering, though. They're playing well. Looks like JJ McCarthy's keeping them in the game. Can he score again? He does. It's a 2-point game. Dallas just continues to score on this Vikings defense. JJ McCarthy continues to score back, though, and he just led a game-winning drive to kick the game-winning field goal and send his team to the Super Bowl. I'm actually very glad that that happened, because if we would have lost, I think people would have blamed me in the comments for throwing a pick. But nope, JJ McCarthy comes out and beats the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. And JJ McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings will be the first one of these teams that makes it to the Super Bowl here in these career sims. All right, here we are in the Super Bowl, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes seems to still be dominating the league here. But let's jump into this Super Bowl. We're just going to simulate just like we did last game, but we will simcast to see what happens. Can JJ McCarthy be the first one of these guys to win a Super Bowl? All right, here we are. We're simming to the end of the game. Kansas City comes out and scores right away, but they answer right back. JJ McCarthy and the Vikings do, but it looks like Kansas City's offense might just be a little bit too much for this Minnesota defense. Do tie the game going into the half, and now Minnesota takes the lead, and they go up 35, 42 to 27, 42 to 34, 49 points, and there it is. JJ McCarthy leads his team to the Super Bowl. propelling himself definitely to the best quarterback in this 2024 NFL draft class. Leads the Vikings to a Super Bowl over Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And JJ McCarthy and this Vikings team are celebrating here. And if you would have asked me, I would not have told you that JJ McCarthy would be the first one of these guys to win a Super Bowl. But he is. And he wins NFL MVP as well. Okay. So JJ McCarthy wins a Super Bowl MVP, and NFL MVP here in year 4 of his career. What a year for JJ McCarthy. Doesn't look like anybody else is up here in the awards category. Let's go ahead and look at all these guys' stats and see how everybody played. But JJ McCarthy led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He had 4,600 yards, 44 touchdowns, and 9 picks. That is an insane year for JJ McCarthy. How did these other guys do? So Drake May had 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, which is the best of his career. So maybe that's his best year so far. I'm not 100% sure. The Falcons and Michael Penix, he put up 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Jaden Daniels had 3,400 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Very good season again for Jaden Daniels. What did Bo Nix do? 2,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Not a good year at all for Bo Nix. Definitely the worst year of his career to this point. And then Caleb Williams had 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Also just kind of like an average year. It really looks like JJ McCarthy's kind of taking over as the best quarterback in this class to this point, with Jaden Daniels pretty clearly in second right now. And then all of these other guys are just kind of pretty far behind, I would say. We are going to just go ahead and simulate to next season. I think that I'm going to stop showing you guys every single season from now on. I think I'm just going to show you guys like big things that happen, but obviously I will keep you updated if anything like huge happens. I would say that JJ McCarthy is pretty clearly in first place here going into year 5 of all these guys' careers. And actually one more thing, I am at the very start here of year 5 of these guys' careers. And if we go over here on this Denver Broncos depth chart, to the quarterback position, you are going to see that Bo Nix is no longer the Denver Broncos quarterback. So he only makes it 4 seasons as the starter for the Denver Broncos, and they give up on him for Kenny Pickett, don't pick up his 5th-year option, and he actually goes to the Cleveland Browns. He's an 84 overall now. He is now the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, so that is where we'll be watching Bo Nix for at least the foreseeable future here in his career. I'm curious if anybody else left their teams as well. All of the other guys stay on their original teams, but the Broncos give up on Bo Nix after 4 years of his NFL career, and he is now a part of the Cleveland Browns. All right, here we are in the very next season where the Falcons are actually into the Super Bowl this time. So it's Michael Penix's turn to try to go out there and get himself a Super Bowl. Nobody else made the playoffs except JJ McCarthy yet again. They lost in the second round though. Let's check out yearly awards, see if any of our guys won a yearly award here. Looks like MVP goes to Lamar Jackson. JJ McCarthy was 3rd on that list though, as well as JJ McCarthy being 2nd on Offensive Player of the Year in the NFC, just behind his teammate Justin Jefferson. So JJ McCarthy looks like he just continued to kill it pretty much. Nobody else is on any of these lists though. But let's jump into the Super Bowl here and let's see if Michael Penix can get it done. Atlanta does go up 14-7 here. 17-7 now going into the half, but the Chiefs do answer. And now the Chiefs score again. Atlanta is down now by 1 point going into the 4th quarter. Can Michael Penix get it done? He's going to have to lead a game-winning drive, and it does not look like he does. So Michael Penix and the Falcons come up just short versus Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And JJ McCarthy remains the only quarterback with a Super Bowl win. But a very good year there by Michael Penix. You got to give him credit for getting him to the Super Bowl. Just couldn't get it done versus who is maybe the greatest quarterback of all time in Patrick Mahomes. And none of them had very amazing seasons outside of JJ McCarthy, who goes for 4,600 yards and 34 touchdowns yet again. I do want to go take a look at what Bo Nix did. I already seen it, but I want to show you guys what Bo Nix did. It looks like he got benched or he got hurt. I'm not 100% sure, but he only throws for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Did have no interceptions, so I'm wondering if he just got injured. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see going into next year if he is the starter or if he's just benched for Chad Van Buren or not, but Bo Nix in his very first year with the Browns did not have a good season. Here we are at the very beginning of the next season, and I do want to point out that it was all of these guys' contract years, so all of them should have got paid. I'm not 100% sure, but it does look like it. So Michael Penix now has a $33 million trade penalty. I'm pretty sure all of these guys would have got paid this season. Let's go through and make sure they all still play for their same teams. JJ McCarthy is up to a 95 overall. He is still on the Vikings. Drake May is still a part of the Patriots. Michael Penix obviously is still on the Falcons, as we just seen. Jaden Daniels is still the quarterback in Washington. Bo Nix is still the quarterback in Cleveland. It looks like he did get injured last season. He's actually still injured. I want to kind of take a look at what that is. Looks like he has a broken femur and he is still out for another 6 weeks. So he's going to have to sit out some time here. And Caleb Williams is no longer a Chicago Bear. So where is Caleb Williams? We are on a manhunt for him. Caleb Williams is a part of the Los Angeles Rams. Oh my God. He signed with the Rams instead of the Bears. Is this team any good? They still have Kyron Williams at running back. What receivers does he have around him? He has Puka, 93 overall, TJ Gilmore, and Quincy Ingram. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that he left the Bears for the Rams. But considering the success, well, the lack of success that the Bears have had in his career, it doesn't necessarily surprise me. So we are going into year 3 with Caleb Williams a part of the Los Angeles Rams now. Okay, end of the next season, and for the first time in Bo Nix's career, he has made it to the playoffs, I should say. I'll move my face cam real quick. Bo Nix has made it to the playoffs, and he is playing his former team, the Denver Broncos, in the first round. So that is very interesting. Also, the Washington Commanders are back into the playoffs, as well as JJ McCarthy and the Vikings just being a mainstay pretty much at this point. So we have 3 guys in the playoffs this year. Let's see how this first round goes. I'm just going to simulate it, but obviously if we get into a Super Bowl or whatever, we will jump in and see how the guys do. Bo Nix loses to his former team, the Denver Broncos, in his very first ever playoff performance, where the Denver Broncos' new quarterback, rookie quarterback, Tyler Schaefer, goes for 222 yards. Bo Nix went for 177 and a touchdown. It was not a super high scoring game at all. Looks like Javonte Williams played pretty well for the Broncos. But Bo Nix loses to Denver in his very first playoff game of his career. So that's got to be painful for him. Does look like Jaden Daniels went to the second round. So now we have a chance at Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy to meet up in the NFC Championship. And we do not get it. The Carolina Panthers upset the Vikings, the number 1 seed Vikings. Jaden Daniels, though, is in the NFC Championship and has a chance at making it to his first Super Bowl of his career. So let's go ahead and sim the week and let's see if Jaden Daniels can get his first Super Bowl appearance of his career. And it looks like he will versus Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And here we go. Can Jaden Daniels win the Super Bowl? Not a great start. They go down 7-0, but he does come back and score right away. And they go into the half up 14-7, 21-7 now. They are leading Baltimore. Baltimore is fighting back a little bit, and now it is a 1-point game in the fourth quarter. Can Jaden Daniels get it done? He's going to have to go down and score a touchdown, which he does. It is overtime in the Super Bowl. What is going to happen? It looks like Jaden Daniels leads the Commanders down, game-winning drive in the Super Bowl versus Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And Jaden Daniels becomes the second quarterback out of the 2024 NFL draft class to win a Super Bowl here in this sim. In a game where Jaden Daniels goes for 351 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, as well as 45 yards on the ground. So there's a chance that he wins Super Bowl MVP here. Let's back out and let's see who wins Super Bowl MVP. And it was Jaden Daniels who won Super Bowl MVP. JJ McCarthy with yet another MVP in his career. He might even have 3. I forgot to look at this last season. But Jaden Daniels wins Super Bowl MVP, leading the Washington Commanders to their 4th Super Bowl in team history. JJ McCarthy continues to kill it here. I think at the beginning of next season, we're going to kind of take a little resume update from all of the guys. And then we are just going to continue chugging along. All right, here we are going into the 2030 preseason. Let's jump over and take a look at all of our guys' resumes real quick. So we will start with Bo Nix, who is up to an 86 overall at this point, where it looks like Bo Nix has just had a pretty decent career. I can't look at all of his stats all in one spot for some reason, but it looks like he's had okay passing yards pretty much every year of his career. He hasn't really progressed a whole lot. As far as awards, he's never won any award. The only thing that's in his awards thing is drafted first round, pick 12 in 2024. So not an amazing career start for Bo Nix, but it does look like he's just kind of like a consistent starter in the NFL. Next up, Jaden Daniels on the Washington Commanders. Let's go and take a look at what he is looking like so far. Definitely looking a lot better than Bo Nix. He has been the most consistent quarterback and not throwing interceptions throughout this entire thing. He's probably the second best quarterback in this draft to this point. And he has 2 Pro Bowl appearances as well as a Best Quarterback award in 2025, which was the year that he went for 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 picks. It was his second year of his career. So a pretty good career so far for Jaden Daniels. For Michael Penix, let's jump over and look at his stats. He has had a pretty just consistent career, right? About 3,000 yards every year, about 23, 24 touchdowns every year, about 10 interceptions every year. He hasn't really progressed, but what he is a good quarterback. He's never been a Pro Bowler or anything like that, though. Next up is Drake May, who actually is the second highest overall quarterback on his team now. So it looks like Drake May's NFL career might be coming to an end. He might just be a career backup from here on out. And so far in his career, he's just been kind of consistently pretty mid. I would probably say even consistently pretty bad. He's definitely not going to have any Pro Bowls or anything like that. So a pretty disappointing career here for Drake May. The Patriots wanted him to be the next Tom Brady. Looks like more of the next Jacoby Brissett, unfortunately for them. And I think Drake May might just kind of be a backup for the rest of his career here in this sim. Caleb Williams, on the other hand, though, is up to a 95 overall. He does have Superstar X Factor. His career has been very interesting, right? Because he's a super high overall. I would say that last year is probably the best year of his entire career, where he put up the second highest yards that he's ever put up, but the most touchdowns and the fewest interceptions. So maybe this Los Angeles Rams offense is a little bit better than what that Bears offense was for him. Does he have any Pro Bowls or anything like that? He does not. So despite him being a 95 overall in this sim, he still just has been kind of disappointing for a number 1 overall pick, I would say. And then the man who has definitely not been disappointing, JJ McCarthy, who is up to a 97 overall here. And he has been absolutely incredible. Over 4,000 yards every year of his career. Last season, he put up 4,900 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Has been absolutely amazing. He has 4 Pro Bowl appearances. He's led the league in passing once. He's a 2027 MVP as well as a 2029 MVP and a Best Quarterback Award winner 3 times in his career. So not even close. JJ McCarthy has been far and away the best quarterback from this 2024 draft. Will that continue for the rest of their careers? I'm not 100% sure. As I said earlier, though, I am going to start stopping a lot less frequently. So I think I'm going to do like a few years at a time and then just kind of wrap you guys up with what's been going on. But I will keep you guys updated and I will see you whenever I see you next. And none of our guys really did anything here in this next season, but I did want to point out that Drake May, after getting benched, the Patriots became the number 1 seed in the entire AFC. They did end up losing, but with Drake May sitting his ass on the bench, the Patriots have become a way better team, which is kind of interesting to look at least. And JJ McCarthy with yet another MVP here in the 2030 season. So it's 2031 now where the Patriots are in the Super Bowl with Drake May as their backup quarterback, which is just still really funny to me. And then I also want to point out that JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels were 1 and 2 in passing yard leaders this season. So that's cool to see. But other than that, nothing super big to announce other than the fact that I'm pretty sure JJ McCarthy won MVP again. And yes, he did. So JJ McCarthy's just the greatest quarterback of all time in this sim. But other than that, nothing really happened here in the 2031 season. Okay, so something big here to start 2032, I believe now. Michael Penix is now a part of the Eagles, where it looks like he is just going to be a backup from here on out. Michael Penix ends his run in Atlanta, where he played pretty well. He had a pretty decent career. He was really consistent, but it looks like it might be just his time to be a backup in the NFL, which is a little sad. He's had 2 of his better seasons of his career these last 2 years, but he's down to a 77 overall, and it looks like he might just be a career backup now. Everyone else, though, is still on the same team as the last time that we saw them. JJ McCarthy is up to a 99 overall, and Caleb Williams is up to a 97 here as a part of the Rams. So did want to point that out real quick, but I'm getting ready to sim 2032 now. We'll see what happens. Okay, 2032, and Jaden Daniels finds himself back in the Super Bowl versus Bo Nix' old team, the Denver Broncos. Can Jaden Daniels go out and win his second Super Bowl of his career? That would take the lead even over JJ McCarthy, who still has only won one Super Bowl despite winning like 4 MVPs or 5 MVPs now at this point. So can Jaden Daniels take the lead in Super Bowl wins here from these 2024 quarterbacks? And it is not looking good going into the half, where Washington is down 24-7 to Denver. Washington's offense just cannot seem to get into the end zone. They finally do right there, but Denver answers right back. And the Denver Broncos win the 2032 Super Bowl over Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Upsetting loss there for Jaden Daniels, but he does make it to his second Super Bowl of his career, which is still very impressive. Let's see how he played in this game. Looks like he had 2 touchdowns, 300 yards. So a pretty good game out of Jaden Daniels, but just could not quite get it done. And he is now 1-1 in the Super Bowl. And JJ McCarthy did win MVP yet again because, like, of course he did. Also, Justin Jefferson has about 1 million Offensive Player of the Years. So JJ McCarthy to Justin Jefferson might be the greatest quarterback wide receiver duo of all time. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's definitely probably up there with the way that this simulation is going. All right, so it is the start of the next season, and it looks like Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Drake May are all just sitting in free agency here in 2033, I believe now. They've all been in the league for 9 years at this point. Drake May, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix looks like their careers might be pretty much over. Let's go ahead and take one final look at what their careers looked like. Oh, and actually, am I going to have to sign them to look at their stats? All right, taking a look at the career stats for all these guys. I'm just on the Washington Commanders. That's why Jaden Daniels is here, obviously. I'm very clearly going to keep him on the team. But it looks like Bo Nix ends with 29,000 yards, 187 touchdowns, and 86 interceptions. Pretty good career, actually, I would say, out of Bo Nix. It's obviously not what you maybe drafted him number 12 to do, where it kind of just seems like he's a career starter at the best and not really anything more than that. But he did have some very good seasons. There's certain years in here, like this 2030 season with Cleveland was very good, as well as 2029 and 2028. All of his Cleveland years were good. Obviously, Denver didn't really get what they wanted out of him. He did turn it into a pretty decent career. Did he win any awards? He did not. So he was never a Pro Bowler or anything like that. Like I said, just kind of a career like starting quarterback in the NFL. Never really good enough to like lead you to the Super Bowl or playoffs consistently, but good enough to get you some yards and get you some wins. Michael Penix ends with 22,000 yards, 172 touchdowns, and 70 interceptions. Same thing for him, where he was just kind of Mr. Consistent throughout his career. He never really put eye-popping stats out there for you, right? Just kind of 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions every single season of his career. Did he end up getting anything? He did not. So also no Pro Bowls for Michael Penix. And Drake May, with definitely the most upsetting career out of any of these guys. He was drafted number 3, expected to come in and kind of take over as the next franchise quarterback for the Patriots. Instead, he only goes for 17,000 yards, 111 touchdowns, and 74 interceptions in his NFL career. Obviously does not make any Pro Bowls or anything like that. Doesn't even really have any standout seasons. I would say that maybe his second year of his career is his best, or maybe this 2027 year where he only threw 4 interceptions. But I mean, he's been a backup for the past 3 seasons. Didn't really accumulate much of anything in his career. Obviously was not a Pro Bowler. So I think it is safe to say that Drake May is the most upsetting player from this 2024 NFL draft class of quarterbacks, followed by Michael Penix and then Bo Nix. And then as far as the other guys go, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and JJ McCarthy are all still going very well in their NFL careers. Jaden Daniels is sitting at 34,000 yards, 273 touchdowns, and 67 interceptions. Caleb Williams is at 32,000 yards, 221 touchdowns, and 69 interceptions. And JJ McCarthy is at 37,000 yards, 302 touchdowns, and 58 interceptions. And this is all coming with one less season of experience than those other 2 guys as well, because he was hurt for his entire rookie season. And here we are in 2033, where the Vikings just won the Super Bowl. I'm not going to lie. I simulated the playoffs because the Vikings were the only one of our teams that made it, and they had a 9-8 regular season and they were the 7 seed. I just really didn't think that they were going to get it done. Turns out they did. JJ McCarthy continues the GOAT conversations around his name. Doesn't win MVP this season, but does win Super Bowl MVP in a 42-39 victory over the Denver Broncos. Sorry that I missed that. I genuinely just didn't think that they were going to have a chance of going to the Super Bowl, let alone winning it. But JJ McCarthy, I guess we should never doubt him because, like I said, I mean, he is in the GOAT conversation here. So here we are going into the 11th year of all these guys' careers where JJ McCarthy is still the best quarterback in the league and Caleb Williams is still a 96 overall. So, I mean, they're still two of the best players in the entire NFL. And then Jaden Daniels is starting to drop now. I think he was a 91 last season. He is down to an 86. So it might be coming to an end for Jaden Daniels a little bit, but I mean, he's still a very good player. 86 is still really good. The one other interesting thing that I want to point out is it does look like the Denver Broncos and the Patriots have both found their franchise quarterbacks, especially the Patriots. This is a 98 overall 25-year-old. So, I mean, both of those franchises found their franchise quarterbacks here in this sim. It just was not Drake May and Bo Nix like they had anticipated. And at the end of this 2034 season, JJ McCarthy and the Vikings are back into the Super Bowl again. I'm not going to jump in anymore. I'm just going to simulate. Let's see if JJ McCarthy can win his third Super Bowl of his career. And we do, but JJ McCarthy doesn't even win Super Bowl MVP. Instead, it is the middle linebacker Julius Mundy who wins the Super Bowl MVP. And then the Patriots quarterback, that one that I showed you guys earlier, Charlie Latman, does win regular season MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, by the way, is Jordan Addison instead of Justin Jefferson. I'm wondering if Justin Jefferson retired and Jordan Addison is just kind of taking over as that number one receiver now for JJ McCarthy. But there it is. JJ McCarthy wins yet another Super Bowl here in 2034 and continues his GOAT case. Okay, 2035 now, and it looks like all of these quarterbacks are starting to lose overall a little bit. JJ McCarthy down to a 96. Obviously still an amazing player, will still be good for a few more seasons, I'm sure. But he is losing overall, as well as Caleb Williams, who is down to a 92 overall here. Looks like Jaden Daniels is all the way down to an 81 overall. So I probably should jump over there and see if he's even still the starter for them. But going into this 2035 season, it looks like these guys are starting to get past their prime just a little bit. And Jaden Daniels is still this Washington Commanders starting quarterback, but maybe not for much longer since he just lost 6 overalls this season. And they have a young guy behind him in Jeremy Clavin that could take that job next year. And surprise, surprise, who would have guessed it? JJ McCarthy back into the Super Bowl again in 2035. Can he win another one here? I also should point out, I guess, that JJ McCarthy was second in the league in passing yards and Caleb Williams was third. So that's really cool to see. And he does. Julius Mundy is the Super Bowl MVP yet again. But JJ McCarthy does win NFL MVP again in his career, and I think that might be either 5 or 6 NFL MVPs. He might be the all-time leader in NFL MVPs at this point. I will have to go take a look. I mean, look at these stats, man. He is just having an insane career, like actually insane. Oops. Awards, let's see. So he's a 10-time Pro Bowler, so many time Offensive Player of the Week, but who really cares about that? He's a 3-time league leader in passing yards. He's a 2027 MVP, a 2029 MVP, a 2030, 2031, 2032, and 2035, making him a 6-time MVP in his career, which is the most all-time by any player passing Peyton Manning. So that is just insane. And then as you can see right there on the player awards part, it does say that he has 4 Super Bowl wins. So he is at 6 MVPs and 4 Super Bowls in his career. Okay, here we are at the beginning of the 2036 season, and Jaden Daniels is no longer a part of the Commanders, so I'm going to have to scroll through the league and see who he plays for now. And actually, Jaden Daniels plays for Caleb Williams' old team, the Chicago Bears. He is down to an 80 overall, but he is the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears now. That is insane. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, here in 2036, JJ McCarthy is back into the Super Bowl. Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels did not make the playoffs at all. But JJ McCarthy is back into the Super Bowl. Can he win himself another one? Let's see. Did he get it done again? Yes, he did. And he wins Super Bowl MVP yet again. He is now a 5-time Super Bowl champion, as well as a 6-time MVP still. Seth Donaldson wins MVP over him this season. But my God, I mean, this guy, he's incredible. He's like maybe the greatest quarterback of all time. And an absolutely devastating day here as Jaden Daniels retires after 13 years. Can I go look at his stats? Am I not going to be able to go look at Jaden Daniels' stats because I let him retire? That's going to be so annoying if I can't. And I really am not able to go back and look at Jaden Daniels' stats, which is so stupid in my opinion. So I guess I'm going to have to start looking at these other two guys' stats after every single year, just so I don't miss something like when they retire. Luckily, Jaden Daniels is the Commanders' all-time leader in passing yards with 46,425, as well as passing touchdowns with 372. So Jaden Daniels ends with a very, very good NFL career. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to see what he did in that final season with the Bears. I just can't go back and look because he's retired now, which is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Madden sucks, I'm sorry. But Jaden Daniels with probably around 48,000 yards, 49,000 yards after you consider this season. Maybe close to 400 touchdowns in his career. Very, very good career for Jaden Daniels. And by the way, this head coach of the Vikings is the number 2 ranked legacy coach of all time, only behind Andy Reid, just because JJ McCarthy has carried him to so many Super Bowls, which is pretty funny. Oh my God, we are here at the beginning of the 2038 season, I believe, and JJ McCarthy is no longer on the Vikings. Where is JJ McCarthy at? And JJ McCarthy joins Michael Penix's old team and goes to the Falcons in his 16th year of his career. JJ McCarthy leaves the Vikings finally. Is Caleb Williams still a part of the Rams? He is. Caleb Williams is down to an 85 overall. JJ McCarthy's at a 91 still. But JJ McCarthy now is a Atlanta Falcon. And oh my God, in what might be Caleb Williams' last year of his entire NFL career, he makes it to the Super Bowl with a chance to ride off into the sunset on top. Can Caleb Williams ride off into the sunset? I don't know for sure that this will be his last year, but I think that it's a possibility. He's made it to the Super Bowl. Can he pick up his first Super Bowl win of his career? And no, he does not. The New York Jets beat him in the Super Bowl 30-16. By the way, JJ McCarthy just won another MVP award. I think that's 8 for him now, which is just absolutely absurd. But Caleb Williams cannot win the Super Bowl. And does he retire? He does not. I think he's going to go one more year. And I'm sure that JJ McCarthy's not retiring yet. Yeah, no, he's not either. So we still got another season of these two. And here at the beginning of the 2040 NFL season, Caleb Williams has actually switched teams and moved over to the Las Vegas Raiders for what might be his final year of his career, coming off the Super Bowl loss with the Rams. He signs a 1-year deal with the Raiders. Is this going to be it for Caleb Williams? I don't know. There's only one way to find out, which is simulate it. But it is interesting to see that he leaves the Rams for his final year and comes over to Las Vegas. And surprise, surprise, look who is back in the Super Bowl again. JJ McCarthy with his new team, the Atlanta Falcons, back in the Super Bowl, going against the Patriots, which is a little bit poetic since it is Tom Brady's old team. My God, this guy is just having the most insane career I've ever seen. Can he win yet another Super Bowl here? Let's see. And JJ McCarthy cannot get it done versus the New England Patriots. He loses the Super Bowl 28-22. I think that might just be his first Super Bowl loss of his career. I know he's had years where he didn't make it to the Super Bowl, of course, but I think that might be the first time that JJ McCarthy has lost in a Super Bowl. But Caleb Williams does retire. So Caleb Williams finishes his career with 62,700 yards, 423 touchdowns, and 111 interceptions. Like we've said, he doesn't necessarily have the awards to like show that he's had an amazing career. Just a 4-time Pro Bowler, never won a Super Bowl, did make it to one and lose one. But Caleb Williams has had a very successful NFL career. I mean, you can't be upset with 62,000 yards, 423 touchdowns. But for the Bears themselves, of course, they are probably a little upset about this first overall pick, because he didn't even really flourish in his career until he went to the Rams. So at the end of the day, bad number 1 overall pick for Chicago. but turned into a very good NFL player throughout his career. And after 22 years in the NFL, JJ McCarthy finally calls it quits as a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he did spend his last 4 or 5 seasons of his career. Let's go check out his stats. Where JJ McCarthy will end his NFL career with 90,583 yards, the most all time, 714 touchdowns, also the most all time. He was a 6-time Super Bowl champion and a 4-time Super Bowl MVP, which are both the second most of all time. And he finished with 8 MVP awards, which is also the most all-time for any player in NFL history. And that is pretty much it for me here. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe if you're excited for more content. Comment down below what else you would like to see. I cannot believe that JJ McCarthy just became the GOAT of the NFL. That is absolutely insane to me. But yeah, like I said, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, comment down below what else you'd like to see from me. And that is pretty much it. Peace.